everybody? We are back after a well-deserved Christmas break. I hope you had a good time opening presents with your family and all that. Berg, how's your Christmas?
It was a tough one, losing my father a few weeks ago. It was a little bit different, so.
Last episode, that was one of Berg's comments. He said, enjoy the time with your loved ones, and I gave him a look after that because I knew it meant a little more coming from Berg in this time. So I really appreciate you for even doing this with me,
It's not a problem, Mom.
It's been a tough couple of weeks because he's told me stories of his father, and he's an inspirational figure in the community with Pee Wee football and inspiring a bunch of kids to be a better person. So my condolences, Berg. I'm sorry, man. And again, thank you. Thank you for doing this with me.
Not a problem, bro.
I wanted to start off this episode making some corrections from the couple of episodes that are already out. First off, in the first episode, I included Jay Crowder in a trade from the Miami Heat. He does not play for them anymore. He's with the Phoenix Suns.
Correct.
Trying to make a run with them, and he actually had a good statistical game the other day, putting up like 25 plus, I believe. I did leave the Washington football team out of my playoff bracket, and they are definitely fighting for their lives this coming up week. And my Jordan 1 Alpha, I said it released in 2009. It was released in 2007. I just wanted to make those clear. And we're going to dive into NFL talks to start this off.
Let's go.
In the first episode, I predicted the Dolphins would win. And I was watching that beautiful game where Fitzmagic got his neck yanked off, and he still threw that pass to Mac Hollins, my boy. Mac Hollins was a receiver for the Tar Heels when your boy Trubisky was a Tar Heel. So I like seeing Mac Hollins do his thing. The Dolphins' big win against the Raiders.
Big win.
Cleveland's big loss to the Jets. The Jets done messed around and gave the Jaguars Trevor Lawrence. Trevor's definitely going to go after this year, right? Just because he avoids going to New York?
Of course. I mean, but you got to think, who doesn't want to be the player to turn a franchise around? At the same time, do you think he may have minded going to the Jets? Who doesn't want to be the player to turn a franchise around?
That's right. But at the same time, that's the Jets. It's the same thing with the Knicks. If you're Obi Toppin, or I can't pronounce his name, the guy that got drafted high for the Knicks, you don't want to go to the Knicks.
Just like the Cleveland Browns are doing well now, at some point the franchise will turn around. Look how long they have lasted with Baker Mayfield and his 100,000 Progressive commercials.
Yeah, it takes a lot for that to happen, though, to really turn the franchise around. And I feel like the Jaguars have a better chance. They cut Leonard Fournette and got the James Robinson kid, the rookie, that could really run. They have Shark, that tall receiver. They have a couple pieces. And they got Calais Campbell at defensive tackle. They got a couple of center pieces they could work around.
Calais Campbell, strong play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the weather. Would you rather play football in New York or Florida?
Football player, don't matter. You're going to travel in the
You're going to have an advantage because people don't want to play in the cold, but, I mean, living in Florida, that's,
I mean, that's a different environment, but, I mean, is it going to help you or hurt you at the same time? I mean, you got an 80-degree...
Either way, it's a losing franchise. That's
a fact.
If you're as good as Trevor Lawrence, you're going to a losing franchise.
Period.
That's where you suffer being a top pick.
That's where you suffer.
But it doesn't. I guess it varies in position because Chase Young was drafted really high, and he's having a big time. The Washington football team
was garbage. They got
their front seven's real though. They're tormenting quarterbacks
because of his addition to the front seven. Mm-hmm. Is the reason why they're tormenting people. He's the reason. That's the reason why they're winning.
That's a lot on your shoulders.
It's because of that defense.
That top pick quarterback being the face of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. If you get Trevor Lawrence in Washington right now with that defense, that's a Super Bowl winning team.
They need to figure out what they're doing at running back.
That's not hard to do.
They need some weapons on offense.
Finding efficient running backs is not hard to do, especially when you got a quarterback that can throw the ball. You know, when you got a lot of teams that got big name quarterbacks, but their quarterbacks, look at New England. Cam Newton.
Mm-hmm.
He can play the position pretty good, but he can't throw the ball well. That's why they can't succeed as a program right now as having Tom Brady. But as soon as New England gets a quarterback that can throw the ball the way Bill Belichick needs it to be,
they don't have weapons either. Sony Michel was hurt all year.
It doesn't matter. Cam is not an accurate quarterback for throwing the ball.
I can't argue against that. Cleveland Browns lost against the Jets, and that was crucial last week. This coming up week, they're going against the quarterbackless Steelers. The Steelers are not starting Ben Roethlisberger.
Why?
Rest going into the playoffs. They have it clinched. So, QB-less Steelers or the fighting for their lives Browns with their receivers in question.
Who's the backup in Pittsburgh?
They said it, but I honestly forgot. I don't think it's going to be Mason Rudolph. I don't think he's... Yeah, that's a whole different story.
No. I mean, Cleveland's... They're playing pretty good ball right now. So, without a Big Ben...
Coming off the
Big Ben is not playing that well either, though. They're riding the coattail of a defense again.
It depends on what the Steelers do, man. Because James Conner isn't enough to carry it on the ground.
It's not.
So they're going to have to put it in the hands of Juju and Ebron.
And how you going to get it there?
It's going to be tough because the Browns' defense is real.
Mm-hmm.
So I need that to happen for the Dolphins. Really...
I mean, I want to see it happen now. I mean, my division, it doesn't matter. But
there's 5 teams that are 10-5 now going into the last week in the AFC. The Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, Browns, Colts. The Colts are on the out looking in. Colts are playing against the Jaguars, who we were just speaking about. And really, they've clinched the number 1 draft pick, so they don't have anything to lose. They may as well go out there and try to win a football game.
I want to see the Colts win. I want to see Phillip Rivers succeed.
And I do too. I like Phillip Rivers. I watched him play just down the street when I was a little kid. I lost a tooth at one of those football games. I was in 3rd grade. Right. So he's been around for a while, and it'd be nice to see him make a successful run. But my allegiances lie with the Dolphins.
But regardless of the fact, he's in a division with Baltimore, Kansas City.
Baltimore going against the Bengals this last week.
That's a W for Baltimore.
Yeah, that's tough. But again, none of this matters because Kansas City Chiefs exist. So.
But not even Kansas City. I'm going to give people a scary look right now. The Buffalo Bills make a run to the Super Bowl.
Man, that's who the Dolphins have in Week 17, and I need Fitzmagic to drop them off.
The Buffalo Bills are going to make a run at the Super Bowl this year.
And
really? They will be in the AFC Championships for sure.
Zach Moss is their rookie running back, their 3rd down back behind Devin Singletary. And before James Robinson came onto the scene in Jacksonville, Zach Moss for the Bills was my rookie pickup of the year going into fantasy football. And I had him in all my leagues, and he was injured, this, that, and the other. He had 2 games that he looked pretty good. And I think he's going to be like that Frank Gore type going forward. Not necessarily all the records. Not all the records. Like, he's not going to pass Barry Sanders. And I actually have a little thing written out for Frank Gore down here at the bottom before we stop the NFL talks. I'll get to that in a minute. Who do you want the Eagles to draft this offseason?
Wide receivers. I want at least 2 wide receivers. I want to be able to get a big time coming out of college, and I want to trade. I want somebody coming like a Dez Bryant. I wouldn't mind Dez Bryant coming over from Baltimore.
Des Bryant could help any ball club. I don't know
Exactly.
what the Cowboys. I don't care
Exactly.
what dispute they had. It wasn't as bad as Antonio Brown and his feud in Pittsburgh. If you're the Cowboys, you need to bring him back and teach C.D. Lamb how to play football.
Rieger, keep him. Alshon Jeffries, he can go. Deshaun Jackson, he can go.
That's tough though.
They
As
can
an
get,
Eagles fan,
You're rebuilding now. Carson
Because-
Wentz is out the door.
because
He's
I know
out the
you
door.
saw that Deshaun Jackson touchdown with Jalen Hurts.
And loved it. But I want him to stay. I want him to retire an Eagle. But I don't want him. If we need to move him to get another good piece, he can be moved.
I don't think he's going to be the mentor that another receiver would be, like a Larry Fitzgerald would be to a
Right.
Christian Kirk or something like that. You know, Deshaun doesn't really seem like that kind of guy that's going to be the good leader and teacher.
No, I'm not gonna say that at that point because people grow and he's an adult now. You can tell he's thinking differently than he was before. But my thing is what is gonna help the ball club win football games and get a Super Bowl run? That's my only thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he has to be moved to get the right pieces, he'll be moved. But we need wide receivers.
One of the Bama receivers or something like that.
We need some of them big Wisconsin
Pitts from Florida.
boys to put on the O line. Give Jalen Hurts. If Carson Wentz needs to leave, okay, get rid of him too.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward,
he can go to the Jets.
He can go to the Jets. You understand what I'm saying?
I want the Dolphins. I'm always biased, as you're gonna learn. I want the Dolphins to take one of the UNC running backs. Myles Gaskin is cool and he has my name and all that, but I want to see one of the Tar Heel boys in Miami because they can use one of those guys.
And they could.
Because both of them are prototypes.
They're studs.
You know?
Both are studs.
And they're both going to go somewhere and get some playing time. But, yeah, that's what I want the Dolphins to do. This last year, the Dolphins had 3 first-round picks. I wanted them to take your guy, Jalen Hurts. We ended up taking Tua. And I wanted them, with the other 2 remaining picks, to get C.D. Lamb and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And they could have. Those picks were available at those spots. And they chose to go otherwise. But I can't be mad because
I wanted DK Metcalf in Philly. I
tough.
wanted DK Metcalf, and we passed up on DK Metcalf
He's a big
couple
boy.
times. So I'm upset about that one.
I'm not giving up on the Dolphins. I know you see the Bills making a run, and that's perfect. Just let us win this one in Week 17.
To make it to the playoffs.
Oh, man. I would be jumping up and down. But,
I get that.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll see my reaction to the games next week.
And they have a chance, but I still see the Bills making a Super Bowl run. I got the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And then it's a toss-up. I don't have the Kansas City Chiefs just running over the Buffalo Bills in that game.
I don't have this in the notepad, but Berg and I worked together, and I was working a couple months back, and it was a lady that was there. Her son was one of the scouts for the Bills, and they live in this area, so it's pretty cool. He's like a head scout or something for the Bills, telling me stories about this, that, and the other. So they drafted my guy Zach Moss, and because of that guy was watching, and I think that's pretty cool. So if they win, if the Bills win, then that guy wins, and that's pretty cool.
Won't let them get a win.
But yeah, I want the Dolphins to take either Javonte Williams or Michael Carter at running back. And the thing I have written about Frank Gore, I just saw some stats on him. He was drafted when YouTube started. So he's been in the game for like 16 years. He had a severe learning disability when he was younger. He tore 2 ACLs in 18 months with a doubting football future. Going forward, he's a 16-year vet, 5-time Pro Bowler, and just passed Barry Sanders for 3rd all-time in rushing. There's only There's only 3 people with more than 16,000 yards, and Frank Gore is one of them under the radar.
He should drop one of Flex's bombs for Frank Gore. For Frank Gore.
Frank Gore.
Big up.
I wanted to say that before we get out of the NFL section. And on to NCAA bowl games. Last episode, I talked with my brothers about the bowl games. Didn't get to speak with you about them. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin messed around and dropped the trophy. I know you saw the video. The quarterback dancing like a sling ding-a-ling. And they dropped the trophy and it broke in a million pieces. They set the little metal part in the middle of it and took a picture around it.
And put a mayonnaise
no, they did put
around the freaking trophy.
They taped it on there. That's 2020 for you.
That's 2020.
Drop the trophy, trying to hold it like Kawhi.
Dukes.
Drop the dang trophy.
It's crazy.
Our undefeated Coastal Carolina team got beat by Liberty in a thriller. OT, 37-34. And that was a good game. That was a great game to watch. If you can go back on YouTube.
Still subsides all of Coastal Carolina's whole season.
Man.
For them to win like they won all year and then lose that game against Liberty.
We were saying Oklahoma State Miami is going to be a great game in that Cheez-It Bowl, and it did not disappoint. Again, a 37-34 finish.
Mm-hmm.
Heck of a game, back and forth. Miami was getting blown out pretty good, and then they came back. Their quarterback was injured early in the second quarter, De'Aaron King. So, recovery to him. But that was a heck of a game. OSU takes the victory. Miami has to be frustrated after that because the game before that bad loss to Oklahoma State, and that one hurts. The game before that was the game that UNC beat them by 40-something. So going into an off-season, I know Miami's frustrated going into next season, so they're going to be looking to hit people and hand out some turnover chains next season.
They still doing that? The turnover chain stuff?
I hadn't seen it so they started it, and I'll give them credit, but I've seen the most ridiculous stuff. Like, I guess the WWE belt or something like that is all right. But they have like Game of Thrones jackets and stuff that they're giving to guys now, and it's like
if it's
doing like a Lion King thing for them. Like
if it's legal for them to do in the game of football, let them do.
It's too much.
They're kids. Let them have fun with it.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's also entertainment. It's people watch the same stupid stuff on TikTok every day.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's entertainment. I like the turnover chain though. That when that first came out, that was super
Let
tough.
the boys have a little fun out there, man.
I want your opinion on these junior and senior opt-outs for the bowl games. Good, bad, ugly. What is it?
I don't like it personally because as a football player, you don't step away from your team football game.
Yeah.
But I understand when you're a young individual trying to get to the next level, and anything could happen in this game.
I know anything can happen.
And if this game doesn't mean anything, now if you boost it up and say, okay, we're going to have 6 or 8 teams in the playoffs instead of all these bowl games.
Expansion talks. Would you go 6 or 8?
I would go 8. Because in college football, you have too many divisions to push it at 6. How you going to just have it at 4?
So, my thoughts were initially 6. I'd like to see 6.
I think started out at 6.
Give Bama and Clemson or whoever the top 2 is, give them their bye first week. Mm-hmm. Let the other 4 teams wear each other out, and then go to the semifinals from there.
But I think if you're going to give somebody a bye, go ahead and do 8. And have a wild card play-in.
If you do 8, I would want to see 2 non-power conference teams in that 7 and 8 seed.
And that's the reason why we're going to do 8. Because I think there will be some non-power conference teams in those rankings, especially with the way that the things are shifting and changing.
No matter what, though, I would want to make that a rule. 7 and 8 have to be non-power conference teams.
I like that.
The best 1 and 2
like that.
non-power conference at 7 and 8. So they'll play Bama and Clemson and get their head knocked off. But they have a chance. They can't complain. If you want to fight, here you go.
The idea of 7 and 8 playing 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's how it goes in a bracket.
It does go like that in the bracket, but
so like Liberty or Coastal would be playing Bama in the first round of an 8-team playoff.
I guess you're right. Because if they can win the football game, they can win the football game.
Yeah,
It wouldn't matter
you can't
when
complain.
it happens.
If you want to go to the big dance,
That's a fact.
Here it is.
I guess you're right.
That's what I would want. I would prefer to see 6, and if they deserve it, then they would get up to the top 6 come Selection Sunday.
My thing is, I don't want it to be like that, though. I want it to be the top 8 teams in the country, no matter what.
But you're still gonna leave out a Boise State or a lower level school with no notoriety. They're all gonna be left out. If you reserve 2 spots for those lower schools,
change it and have another playoffs, or leave it at that.
The
problem is it's not the NFL, so we don't have. You know how many colleges it is in the country?
Mm-hmm.
It's too many colleges that have that type of a scale. So you can't just put everybody, because the level of talent in some of these schools is not going to happen until
like a UCF squad a couple of years back. It would be a fun game to watch them play Bama. I know they're going to get beat by 20, but it'd be fun to watch and give them a shot.
But they were in the top 10 at that point, though.
Right.
So they earned that spot.
So was Coastal.
Right. So they earned that spot.
But if it's reserved every year that's what I would want to see.
I wouldn't want to see it reserved. I don't want to see it reserved. The best football team gets in this slot. Period.
Fair enough. Georgia, Cincinnati. Who you got? Cincinnati's undefeated. They could have been 3 undefeated teams, but Coastal lost.
And I don't like the way Georgia's been playing. I got Cincinnati. I got the Bearcats.
UNC A&M. UNC has a lot of opt-outs.
I know. Matt was talking about it.
Which, I didn't give my opinion on the opt-outs. I am against it. After your junior year, if you want to go pro, go pro. After the bowl game. If you're an offensive or defensive lineman, I guess I understand it because it's a lot of piling up in that trench, especially in a game that matters to you. They're going to be...
I can't distinguish it from position because certain positions take different. I mean, you're a wide receiver and you catch the ball in the blind and take a hit, your life could be over. Look at Ryan Shazier from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right, linebacker.
One play ended his career.
Yeah, I remember where I was when I saw that. But I think it's different for position. I do. Because most of the injuries I see, people getting carted off the field are linemen. And I get it. If you're a high-stock lineman, forego that game. You got a backup that could somewhat do the job.
I mean, you're talking to the father of a lineman that got hurt quite often. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I get it if you're a lineman.
I understand.
If you're a running back, man,
Yeah, I can't.
Both Carolinas.
I can't. It don't matter what position you play.
And it's not just Carolina. It's if Pitts was in the game for Florida the other day, OU probably wouldn't have won that bowl game. Trask looked terrible in that first half. And, I mean, the throws were ducks.
But, I mean, that's a way for them to rethink the bowl games. I guarantee you things will change. I guarantee you within the next 2 years, there will be a 6 or 8 team playoff in the college. Things are going to change. That's the way it is.
I need that to change because I don't like all these guys opting out of the bowl games. This is the most important game of the year. It's just not fair to the guy, like the underclassmen. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to the coaching staff. It's not fair to the fans. And really, it's going away from the team aspect of things. You know? It's being pretty selfish.
But you see players do it all the time. Look at Colt McCoy when he was in Texas 10 years ago. And he got hurt and acted like he was hurt, and his dad went to the locker room and told him to sit out. The same shoulder he was hurting, he was lifting up, doing all this, cheering. When
we got into this argument the other day, I'm more of a college fan. I like the college game more. It means a lot to me.
I just like the game.
When
I don't care what level you play it at. Just go hard.
When you're not playing for the dollars, you're playing for the game. Like Vince Young.
Nah, you got a lot of players.
Vince Young was terrible in the NFL, but when I think of Vince Young, I think of like a superhero.
He was terrible in the NFL because it's the NFL. The kids he playing against in college are totally different than these.
But you gotta think that USC game was top 3 game all time. And
that one game was like you can't distinguish that from. You playing that USC game is like playing 16 weeks of that USC game.
But he had high draft stock. He could have easily sat out and said, "Nah, I can't play in this game." Then there would have never been that legendary football game.
No, okay, I get you when you come from that standpoint, but I mean, no, I don't. I just told you I don't care what position you play. I don't agree with the. If your team make it to a bowl game, why wouldn't you want to play in that game? Me personally, in college, because some of these kids not gonna do well in the NFL. Even though they think they are, they're gonna go to the NFL and they're gonna fail, and they're not gonna make as much money as they think they are. Or be as good a player.
And if you're a junior or senior and you opt to play for the bowl game for your team and you do have a bad injury, I'm sorry. Tua did, and look at him. I mean, he won the starting job over Fitzpatrick. He's fine. So what's the big deal? I mean, I understand the worry and the concern if you're an agent, if you're whispering in this kid's ear, but you got to play for your team, for what's right, for the game. That's just better for the game.
I think it's all political when it comes to that, though.
You're right.
I think it's all political. I think these kids sitting out is the ploy for the schools to cry out and say we need a bigger playoffs. I think that's why that is happening right now.
Yeah. You may be onto something with that. Your Wolfpack against Kentucky. Wolfpack. Don't even know why I asked. Oregon versus Iowa State. Oregon's barely played any football, and Iowa State has a good running back.
I know Iowa State's running back is
he's
top 3 in the country running backs. I'm gonna toss that one up. I can't. I don't got enough energy on Oregon because it's a West Coast team, and
I'm sure they're gonna have some flashy uniforms. But
something you're gonna want to buy at the store, but are they gonna win the game? If their uniforms are extra nice to make you want to buy them out the store, they're gonna lose.
I'm with that. I'll go ahead and see. You think Bama's winning it all? Like normal? Or you give Clemson a shot? The legend of Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, it's not even a legend. I'm talking about that running back, ETN.
Najee Harris is just as nice.
ETN, he is a stud.
So you got Clemson doing it.
I got Clemson doing it because of ETN.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. NBA's next.
What is it?
Grayson Allen still out here trying to break people.
Don't get me started.
Go ahead. Tell these folks what you think.
Don't get me started on Grayson Allen.
I remember.
I don't even like giving him no attention or mentioning his name.
Oh, I'm talking about it.
Because it pisses me off.
Right. That's why I'm bringing it up. I saw him. They were playing like Holy Cross of Prairie Field or something in college, like some terrible farm team, and Duke is struggling to beat him, and he was a kid skinnier than me playing for that team. I can't even remember the name of it. and Grayson's tripping him, throwing him out of bounds over the TV people. And the kid's like, looking at him. He's shocked because he's a guy playing for Duke on national television.
Doing that.
Blatantly. I don't understand it. And that was just the one
cheater his whole life.
There's times he's melted down, started crying on the bench at Duke, throwing Gatorade bottles and screaming, and he's...
I hate to be racial, but if that was a black man doing that, it would be a different story.
It would be
a different story because he does blatant stuff. How is he even still in the NBA?
I don't know why.
He's not even that good to still be in the NBA. He's not even good.
He's a liability.
Why would you have him on your roster?
And it's not even like he's a tough guy, like he's a Ron Artest. He's really gonna start a
I
fight.
wish he would do that to Ron. He tried to pick on the smallest person. Trae Young may be the smallest person in the NBA. And he's sitting there trying to step on his foot blatantly, trying to hurt him. Because he's running around. Because he's abusing him.
Getting cooked all night.
Because he's abusing him. And that's just
Speaking
ridiculous.
of Trae Young, he dropped 30 points just before we started filming this tonight. He dropped 30 points without hitting a single three. So
big shout to Trae, man. I love my
Trae's
boy,
making
Trae
splashes. The Orlando Magic were the only undefeated team left in the NBA till a few hours ago. They just took a loss. At the time of filming this, the Eastern Conference standings are number 1, Philadelphia 76ers at 4-1, Indiana Pacers at a surprise 4-1, and the biggest surprise of the NBA is the Orlando Magic at 4-1. Markelle Fultz stepped up. I figured Cole Anthony would be starting by now, but Markelle is stepping his game up and playing good ball.
I don't care about that right now.
None of the big teams in the East are...
I don't care. When it comes to the playoffs and beating teams in 7 games, Orlando Magics, all of them teams you just named are going to have a problem with. Milwaukee Bucks, Brooklyn Nets, and the Miami Heat. Still, the Miami Heat, are we forgetting about the team that just made it to the finals? Bubbles or not.
These are the numbers.
You know,
these trash teams are
it's beginning of the year numbers.
Hot.
Of course they are, but it's beginning of the year numbers. So I ain't gonna get too excited on that yet.
The Nets just beat the Hawks today, 145-141. KD, Kyrie both went off. Good game. And like I said, Trae Young had 30 with no 3-pointers made. So he was.
But they put up that many points against the Brooklyn Nets, and that's heavy.
And they still lost.
That's heavy. That should tell you something.
That's some running gun basketball. I like that.
That's Kyrie and KD.
Top
I need to get my Brooklyn Nets. I'm having a Brooklyn Nets jersey on in the next one.
Top 3 in the West, we got the Clippers at 4-1, but that one loss, they got killed by the Mavericks the other day. An embarrassing loss. They were down 77-27 at halftime, losing by 50 at the half, largest deficit in NBA history at halftime. But given that, they're at 4-1 atop the West. Number 2, Sacramento Kings are 3-1.
I told you about them.
Yep. And number 3, it was the Sacramento Kings till today. They just got beat by a COVID-less Houston team who came out in some cool jerseys and looked really cool with their new cast. You got John Wall, chubby James Harden, and he's tearing it up. He's looking like a different guy out there. I hope he stays. I hope you're right. I mean, I've put together those trade packages.
Houston, James.
Stay in Houston.
Stay with all them boys from Raleigh. They got your back.
And have a good
Raleigh.
Yeah.
Them boys from Raleigh got your back, James. Stay with them.
Have a good attitude about it too, and switch up, because if they turn it on, which I think they can, they could be a great team.
That's right. That's right.
And we need Boogie to stay healthy, because that's my guy.
If Boogie stays healthy, they are a NBA champion title team. They can win the title.
The Utah Jazz moved up to 3rd spot. They're playing the Suns right now, probably about to get scrubbed. So
off subject. Grayson Allen, go try to trip Boogie Cousins like that. Like
Oh,
he did
yeah.
to Trae Young and see what happens.
That'd be great. I don't like that guy. Problem teams. Is it too early to worry if you're Denver at 1-3?
No.
You got Jokic, a walking triple-double, but Jamal Murray hasn't been doing a whole lot. He's on my fantasy team, disappointing me. And the Houston Rockets had a stripper COVID outbreak, so that was something to worry about. But today's their first day back together on the court, and they look good, so I'm not worried about that at all.
I mean,
they looked really cool. Like,
them guys there to play basketball.
That's going to be a fun team to watch, though. The chemistry between James and John and Boogie. That's going to be cool.
And the homie PJ.
Wizards are 0-5. Russ is having triple doubles every night, but they're 0-5.
As expected.
Michael Porter Jr., my most improved candidate.
Mm-hmm.
He had a 30-point, 14-rebound game the other night, stepping it up. Kobe White is a validated starter in the NBA now.
Okay, Kobe.
He's dropping people off. And LaMelo Ball.
Had a big night.
What do you think?
He had a big night.
Dude.
Just one big night ain't going to send me there. Melo, you in North Carolina now.
Last
you
night.
You need to show that type of performance every night for us to believe.
Dude, Gordon Hayward's throwing bricks. They paid that man $100.
I was never with that trade. That was the dumbest trade right now.
$120 million to throw bricks.
He's washed.
Bricks.
He's washed.
So, LaMelo on a fast break had a crazy, like a scoop pass, but it went to the lane. It went all the way across the lane to the 3-point. Just hit Gordon Hayward right in the hands, and Gordon didn't even know what to do with it. He was scared. He didn't, because LaMelo, you got to be ready to play with LaMelo. You got to have your hands up and ready to shoot, because he'll see you.
He'll see you and get you the ball.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
I love that. That's my favorite basketball to watch. Magic Johnson, outside of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson is my favorite basketball player of all time because of that reason.
He'll see you.
Yes, I love fast break basketball. Anything else in the NBA you want to talk about?
Nah, that's about it right now. It's too early to decide.
Man, KD got dunked on twice, but I respect it. He's meeting people at the rim. You know, he did get dunked on by Melo's teammates. It was against the Hornets. Scary Terry and I think PJ Washington got him. And
but he went up to challenge the shot, so.
And Montrezl Harrell got exposed a couple times. He got his dunk blocked by a guy, but I think Montrez is going to turn it on and be a real X factor for the Lakers this year.
Montrezl Harrell going to give you this 110% every play.
He's like a Kenneth Faried type to me. I miss watching Kenneth Faried play. Anything else in the sports world you want to talk about?
Nah, bro.
All right, so today I watched a couple of things and took some notes on all the things that happened in this crazy year. This is being filmed on December 31st, a few hours before the ball in New York drops. I guess there's no one out in the streets watching it this year, but...
Or the Acorn drops in Raleigh,
yeah,
North Carolina.
The New Year 2021 is coming in a few hours, so I wanted to recap some of the important things. And I know I've missed 20 things on this list, but I have more than 20 on the list. And if there's something that you think is left out, comment it in the comments. December of 19 through the start of the year, we had the Australian bushfires. 47 million acres burned. And I know that this is going to be sad, most of it, but I just want this on record to kind of remember what happened, because there's so much going on that it's hard. And watching some of the stuff I saw today, I remembered half of this stuff, and it's been so long ago, it seems. I guess the quarantine messes with our time perception. I don't know what it is, but a lot of this stuff is pretty crazy, and if it happened in any other year, it'd be really notable. So here we go. Australian bushfires. 47 million acres burned. January 8th, Iran launches 2 ballistic missiles at 2 Iraqi military bases containing U.S. troops, shoots down a civilian Ukrainian aircraft following a drone strike that killed 2 of their military leaders at an airport, almost starting World War III. So, we're barely a week into the year and World War III is on the brink. January 26th, Kobe Bryant with his daughter Gianna pass away due to a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California.
And I host a few other people. I don't know all of their names, but
7. But
that was to the culture of, you know, that was a heavy one.
That was really tough.
That was a heavy one.
I know a lot of people, thousands of people, were piled into the streets of LA, painting murals and chanting Kobe, but it's really not enough because of all the craziness that went on this year. It should have been.
And I hated Kobe as a basketball player.
Who are you telling? I'm a Jordan guy.
I hated him. He was so good. I hated him for it.
I like that Celtics team. I hated him.
I hated him because he was so good. And my team was the Knicks. And he would kill us every time. One of his best performances is against us.
I know.
You understand what I'm saying? So, I understand, but that just him as a person, you know, Kobe Bryant.
It flipped for me. His last game against the Utah Jazz and Gordon Hayward, who can't play. He can't guard me, Gordon Hayward, because a 40-year-old Kobe Bryant continued to rock him off all night.
He shouldn't even be mentioned
in front of Snoop Dogg, Kanye, Ice Cube, Jack Nicholson, all of them. Kobe had, what was it, 60?
That was heavy.
I watched that game twice that night and I cried, actually. That's crazy, not even knowing that he's going to pass away. That moved me to tears. Just watching him play that last performance.
That was strong.
So it's really not sank in that Kobe Bryant's gone. That was January 26th. January 30th, 4 days later, the World Health Organization declares COVID a public health emergency.
Coronavirus.
February 5th, Donald Trump was acquitted by the U.S. Senate over Ukrainian scandal. So Donald Trump was being impeached at the start of the year. February 11th. I threw this in there for my own giggles. There's a podcast I watch by Tom Segura, and they show crazy people on the internet, and I really enjoyed watching one guy named Fed Smoker. He's a crazy... He's a crazy guy. He gives himself a haircut by lighting himself on fire. He just takes a lighter and lights it. He's just a crazy guy. So he passed away on the side of the highway in Colorado. Conald Eugene Peterson, God rest his soul, on February 11th. February 24th, Harvey Weinstein's convicted of multiple sex charges. The Me Too movement catches wind. Late February through early April, the stock market reaches its lowest crash since the Great Depression. March 9th, Italy becomes the first nation to implement a nationwide lockdown. 2 days later, March 11th, the NBA season is suspended. Rudy Gobert tests positive before tip-off. The next day, March Madness canceled. First time since 1939 that we haven't had the March Madness NCAA tournament. The next day, March 13th, Trump closes U.S. borders as the WHO declared COVID a global pandemic 2 days prior. March 20th, Tiger King debuts on Netflix.
And took off.
It did a Carol Baskin.
It took off. So I watched Netflix. So it was the first thing popping up. God. And I'm like, what is this Tiger King? And you let me know. Oh my God.
I used to ref basketball games in Wynnewood, Oklahoma, in that town. And I would see vote for me signs and little billboards on the highway with him on it. He got a little flashy suit on. Then vote for me.
Vote for me.
Oh, man. Tiger King debuted March 20th. 4 days later, March 24th, the Olympics is canceled for the first time since 1940, when host country Japan forfeited their hosting rights after declaring war with China in 1937. We're still having the Olympics this coming up summer, supposedly. March 26th, Senate approved stimulus checks, the first round of stimulus checks, as COVID cases around the world passed 500,000. 3 weeks later, April 15th, COVID cases around the world passed 2 million. April 27th, Pentagon releases 3 different UFO videos.
So we do have aliens.
Yeah. I'll get into that here in a minute too. That was April 27th when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
We kick off May with the murder hornets coming into Washington State.
Yep.
That's nice.
The murder hornets.
May 6th, astronomers announced the first visible black hole visible with the naked eye from Earth. They found some black hole somewhere that we could see with some glasses or something. I don't know. Thought that was pretty cool. May 20th.
What the fuck is it gonna be? A black hole? I
don't think we can go there and write about it.
That kind of threw me right there.
Right.
With the naked eye or with some type of glasses or something.
Like we could see it from standing on a mountain or something.
A black
like
hole
from
in the fucking sky.
Yeah.
Pardon my language, but...
Yeah. Crazy.
2020's ending in a couple hours, so...
Yeah. Yeah, this is the end of the world podcast here.
10-4.
May 25th, George Floyd was murdered by police, followed by months and months of riot and unrest. 3 days later, the 3rd Precinct of Minneapolis Police Department was burned to the ground. June 1st through November 30th, the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season was the most active and ranked 7th costliest season on record, featuring 31 tropical cyclones. June 20th. TikTok users purchase majority of tickets to Trump campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and don't show up, leaving a sold-out show and empty arena.
That wasn't real. That's what Trump was trying to say.
Right.
Took over while
That's why
there was nobody
TikTok.
Group came through. He was saying people was coming through and nobody came. He got mad. TikTok ain't got nothing to do with
But that's how they
man.
did it though. They advertised it on TikTok. They buy all these tickets and don't go. And a bunch of people did. Thousands of people bought tickets and didn't go from TikTok. How crazy is that?
It's irrelevant. He lost the presidency.
But that's just something that doesn't happen in a normal, like if that happened.
Nothing is normal no more because your generation and beyond social media has took over. Yeah. TikTok shouldn't have nothing to do with a presidency.
I know, but it did, and that's crazy. If that happened to George Bush or Obama, if that happened like a ghost show up rally, like you think it's a packed house, but only 12 people are there.
It wouldn't happen.
But it did. That's
Do
crazy.
you know the reason why it did? Because people actually did not want to go to see that idiot talk.
Right.
Can people just think of that?
It was in Tulsa.
Can people just figure out that maybe people just didn't want to hear this idiot talk?
It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, though, so you never know what you're gonna get out there. Out there in the farms.
You from Oklahoma? You lived out there, so
that's the 3 hours away.
Oh, okay.
That was up there in Tulsa. July 2nd, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, brought in for sex trafficking crimes, setting the internet ablaze, fanning the Pizzagate conspiracies. July 7th, first NBA player stepped foot inside Walt Disney's bubble. August 4th, the Beirut fire missile explosion. which is probably, I know it's kind of dark.
That's when that spot blew up.
Yes,
Looked like
that's
a
probably
nuclear
my
bomb.
favorite video of the year.
It was tragic. Like, how was it your favorite? Like,
because you can't.
A bunch of people died.
I know, that's why I said it's dark, but watching that, like, you see a movie like Matrix or something, or an army movie where that happens, and you see the CGI, like Battle Los Angeles, you see a fake blow up, but you don't get a real, like, city blow up like that. Like, that's real.
I don't want to see that in real life, though.
I know, but we got to. That's why I couldn't take my eyes off of it.
I watched it and I was like, okay, cool, but damn, I'm like, actual people.
190 people plus died.
Was,
That's what I wrote down.
Like, it's not a movie, it's real life.
I know, I'm not saying I
that's
liked
like
it.
People,
I was fascinated by the science of it.
And I get it, because in the way that it looked like a mushroom.
Incredible.
How it came up. I understand, but that's just like people that was, they talk about the street stuff and they listen to the music and then gunshots go off and they crawling on the ground like you were the other night.
We had
the gunshots went off.
No. We had a shooting here the other night. No.
Hey, yes. Say no.
It was 30. Okay, it was 30 plus shots.
At least 30.
Our apartment is the closest one to it. Okay.
I can hear it. My apartment window is open. I'm listening to the whole fiasco in my bed.
So it's 2 a.m. I'm editing a video. Last episode, I'm editing, and I hear these gunshots. I roll off the couch like an army dude onto the floor and start
crawling. Army crawling.
Give me a break.
Hey, no, I'm not.
They're busting back.
I'm not.
Some people were busting, and then they started busting back.
It was a whole bunch of people shooting.
I'm not standing up looking out the window.
I'm in my bed on social media on my phone.
I come crawling around the corner.
I see some ant crawling to my door talking about, hey.
No, give me a break. Give me a break.
It was the funniest thing I ever seen.
I'm not getting shot before Christmas. I'm making it to Christmas. Dang it, bro. Give me a break.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the shooting happened here the other night. Yeah, that happened. Oh, yeah.
It was Beirut in here. He was...
Don't do me like that.
Oh my God.
I'm making it to Christmas. August 4th, the Beirut firework explosion.
Oh my God.
August 10th, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his prison cell.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The next day, Kamala Harris was selected as the first black woman to run as a VP candidate. Made history a few times over.
It was bound to happen. Like, it was going to happen eventually.
A couple of weeks later, this is one of the sadder things on this list, actually. Legendary actor Chadwick Boseman passes early due to cancer. Didn't see that coming.
No one did.
Wakanda
even the people that were directing the movies, like Spike Lee,
that's a tough loss.
Didn't.
How many kids around the world dressed up as Black Panther for Halloween?
Millions. And he's gonna continue to be a black superhero forever.
Yeah, forever. So that's why I said that's one of the sadder.
Because he passed, it's gonna make him more of a black superhero.
And I mean, one person passing on this list could seem small, but when it gets to a person like that or Kobe, one person is.
I wanted to give some time to my dad,
Yeah. Go ahead.
My dad passing this year is. It's the worst thing I've ever dealt with, and if anyone that knows me, I've been through rain, sleet, hail, earthquakes throughout my life. But losing my father is when you got a dad like a father like I had. It it's it's very much different. It's very hard and difficult to speak about.
He started a team. Tell him about that.
Yeah,
Steelers.
I mean, any capital city Steelers, they know who Coach Ray is, the original. Even my brothers, the original players. A lot of players I can mention right now that I, just can't mention. But, thinking about my pops is, I've always had my dad. I've never been an individual that didn't have a father to call or say, can you help me with this? Or what should I do? Or I'm about to have a child. How should I handle this? And things of that nature. So to lose my dad and at a certain, my dad wasn't that old. It hurts. And it's changing my life and it's changing me mentally. That's when they say the soul lives on. Mm-hmm. My father's soul is continually living on because it lives deep embedded in everything that I do every day. And
not even in that sense, I'm a spiritual person, so I believe. I mean, the soul transfers.
And it's the way that the life that he led. A pure controlled man. A straight general. The leader of all leaders. He's a true and living God. My father was a true and living God. And that's just facts. But outside of that, I just wanted to get that off my chest, Pops. I love you. 2020 is out of here, but I love you, Pops. I do.
You're a strong man. I heard a man speaking one time that said he believes that you aren't a man until you lose your father.
Wow.
And I don't want to not call myself a man, but I agree with what he says because it is a different step in your manhood. Like you just said, not having that guy to call about your car or about making this, your anything. Taxes or
anything,
whatever, anything.
It's
you. You're the man now. So.
That's strong. That's heavy.
I got a lot of love for you, man. So, just on this podcast.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. I mean, my dad is.
I'm glad
2020 took a person that shouldn't have been taken in 2020.
Yeah.
But let's get past that.
A couple months ago, I'd feel wrong in leaving out my grandmother. She passed during the thick of COVID, and Miss Peggy Presnell was her name. Sweet lady. I lived with them for a while after college. A great woman. She'll be missed by our whole family forever. Her Thanksgivings were great. She made the best mashed potatoes in the world. No offense to my mom.
Nobody can deep fry turkey better than Otis Ray Sr.
Yeah, and your grandma.
Nobody can deep fry turkey better than Otis Ray Sr.
So Thanksgivings will be different forever.
It's gonna be different.
But
it's gonna be different.
A couple hours left in 2020, and we're still here. We're soldiering through this, man. We're keeping moving on. August 28th, legendary actor Chadwick Boseman passes early due to cancer. Also in August, California wildfires start raging, burning millions of acres in very valued land. September 18th, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes, second woman elected to serve as Supreme Court Justice, fought for feminism, equality, as well as battled the installation.
RBG.
Yeah, she battled the installation of gas lines through indigenous lands.
Peace to RBG. She was definitely a milestone. Definitely a milestone. We had to lose that type of person in the Supreme Court Justice, because that's the type of person that's gonna fight for, equality, not just black or white. She was the type of person that was fighting for equality with them, amongst everyone.
Yeah, by the book equality.
Yeah.
First presidential debate was on September 29th, and that was
two people talking shit to each other at the local cookout, having burgers and onion rings. That was the worst.
Biden told him to shut up.
And he should have.
But
at the same time, that's not the way a presidential debate goes.
Right. But I'm not saying Biden's was out of control, because if anyone was out of control, it was Donald Trump.
It was Donald Trump. He was out of control.
Yeah.
But he feels like he's the president of the United States. He can say whatever he wants to say. And so I'm not. So I can't say, but...
After they got into a big screaming match on C-SPAN 3 days later, October 2nd, Trump gets COVID.
Which was fake. My opinion.
4 days later, in my opinion, a top 10 guitarist of all time, rock and roll legend Eddie Van Halen passes. 5 days after that, October 11th, the LA Lakers leave the bubble with an NBA championship trophy.
Big shout to LA. LeBron.
November 1st, U.S. citizens break poll records with
Anthony
more than
Davis.
93 million early ballot votes sent in. So this is the highest vote count in any U.S. election. And population keeps growing, so that only makes sense.
And not only that, it's because people wanted Trump out of office. You don't get the most votes in electoral history because it just happens. It's happening because
it means something.
It means something to the people that live here now.
Just for the record, I have never voted, and I don't believe I will. I don't want to say I won't ever, but I can get deeper into that talk later.
The next time we vote, he will be voting.
No.
Because he's...
No.
We're going to...
I watched too many conspiracy videos in college.
And I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, your voice can be heard.
Which led to November 7th. Joe Biden wins election, becoming 46th president-elect of the United States.
We just dropped one of Clue's bombs, Flex's bombs on that one.
The next one's kind of sad. I mean, November 8th, Alex Trebek passes away, longtime host of Jeopardy. That's like an American...
He was like 100.
He's like a landmark, though,
It was sad, but he wasn't going to live forever. He was going to die eventually.
The next day, November 9th, the state of Oregon decriminalizes all drugs. So...
Because Alex Trebek died.
Yeah. There's a bunch of Jeopardy fans in Oregon.
Yeah. They mad. They need their drugs.
So now, I guess you can be coming down off PCP and smoke meth at a stoplight in Oregon. Cool. December 14th.
No words for that.
Which is the last... Oregon, man.
I'm not ever going to Oregon.
No.
Power water.
December
Powerade.
December 14th, COVID vaccine rollout and distribution. That's the last thing on the list. I do have other notable losses of 2020, which still remain on a pretty dark topic, but...
I just wanted to get the sports out of the way, see what we got, because NFL playoffs about to pop.
Oh yeah.
It's about to be heavy with that.
NBA is tough.
College football playoffs is about to pop. It's about to be tough with that. NBA is really just getting started, so that's not real heavy, but
I wanted to put together that list. I had that idea yesterday because this is the last day of 2020. I wanted to go back and even for my own information and remembering everything that happened because it is the craziest year that I have ever lived through. Some of the notable losses we had in 2020. Kenny Rogers. I hate country music, but some people like it. Country pop star.
A lot of people like Kenny Rogers has been have been around for a long time. A lot of people like Kenny Rogers as well as even some of his Christmas music for one.
I'm not listening to Kenny Rogers' Christmas music.
His Christmas music is stellar.
God rest his soul, but don't put that on him.
But he's not nobody that I'm gonna shed a tear about. At the same time,
Fred Curly Neal, the most famous Harlem Globetrotter of all time, passed away this year.
Curly passed.
Bill Withers, Grammy Award-winning soul artist who's famous for "Lean on Me," "Lovely Day," "Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone," and "Just the Two of Us, You and I." That one from Austin Powers. He sang back
Powers, where you remember it from. That's a household song in the black community.
Oh, I knew it from another movie too.
That's a household song, yeah.
Next, Don Shula, former coach of the Baltimore Colts and my Miami Dolphins. Shula would lead his teams to 6 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them. Hall of Fame induction in 1977, and head coach of the only truly undefeated team in football history, the 72 Miami Dolphins. The 07 New England Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, but got beat out in the playoffs. That year in the Super Bowl, it was the Bears against Peyton Manning's Colts.
Gotcha.
Next, we have Wes Unseld, who's pretty unknown, probably to most listeners. He was the face of the franchise of the Baltimore Bullets back in the day, a skilled big man who at one point had the NBA all-time scoring record. So early in the NBA's existence, he was at one point the all-time leading scorer. Milton Glaser, who probably no one knows on this podcast. He's the creator of the I Heart New York logo. I thought that was pretty cool. Famous, iconic deal. He created that and he's passed.
Mm-hmm.
John Lewis, civil rights leader, spent over 30 years serving in Congress. He has passed. I saw a lot of posts about him on Instagram. So,
a lot of people that passed, this year. Tiny. Debo. Tiny listing.
Tiny.
Passed a couple days, around when my pops passed. So, Debo.
Yeah,
that's D-E-B-N-O.
Pump.
D-Ray, E-Ray, B-Ray, and O-Ray.
No, Debo. That's funny.
That's where the muscle's at.
What bite? Regis Philbin, host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. According to Guinness World Records, he spent more time aired on TV than anyone else in history. Over 16,000 plus hours aired on TV. Regis Philbin.
I can see that. He was real popular for at least a decade.
Oh, a long time.
At least a decade, he was the man.
Well, I mean, longer than that because it says
16 plus.
What was it? It was.
I can see at least a decade. I watched him for at least a decade.
Alex Trebek was on for 37 years.
I haven't watched Alex Trebek forever.
And Regis had to beat him in hours because he has the record for hours. So Regis was in it
Alex
for a minute.
Trebek has had that 1 hour.
Yeah, this one show.
That one show.
Regis was on news and everything. Next, we have John Thompson Jr., Hall of Fame former coach of the Georgetown Hoyas, and a class act of a man. Comes from a very prestigious family.
Peace to John Thompson and the family.
Next, we have Whitey Ford, New York Yankees ace pitcher of the 50s and 60s. Sean Connery, Scottish-born actor and James Bond, and plays Indiana Jones's father in that one movie. Sean Connery. Chuck.
I like Indiana Jones.
Me
I've
too.
never actually been to.
Junior.
They're good movies. They're good.
Great movies.
They're good movies.
Next, we have Chuck Yeager, who was a test pilot and the first pilot to break the speed of sound, which is pretty incredible.
Which was when? 1990 what?
No, that was like way back then, in like the freaking.
Oh, he was the first pilot.
To break the sound.
Because somebody broke the speed of sound barrier in 1990.
That was probably in a car.
No. It came through the air because it was on the news that day, and I didn't understand what was going on.
I didn't write that down.
And it scared the shit out of me. No, I was just getting home, coming off the bus from a little kid.
You heard the sonic boom like
it was a boom, like a big
happened,
boom.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what happened. I swear to God, it was 1990. It was early 90s.
Well, did you live
Somebody did that.
Did you live by Goldsboro?
No, we was living in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow.
And it happened, and that's what happened in Raleigh. And I was scared shitless. Like none of my brothers was home yet. You understand what I'm saying?
You just heard a boom like it.
And it was like, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Alright. Called moms and everything. Mom, the whole house shook.
No.
I've never
seen one or heard one.
No, the whole house shook.
Wow.
I swear to God, my mom's told me what happened. She was watching the news and all that.
To be the first guy to do that, though, you got to be a bad dude.
To be the first guy to try that.
Because imagine, okay, so you're far away from it, and you heard how loud. Imagine being in the middle of it. You're in the thing that makes it go.
That makes it go boom.
Boom. You know, that's a bad dude.
I want to do that.
Last on the list.
I want to go to outer space.
No, you don't.
And stay there. I want to go. I swear I do.
No.
Leave Earth and now to come back.
Last on the list, I had to put Casey Jones on there. He was a Hall of Fame basketball player and a Hall of Fame coach, famous for his time with the Celtics. Overall, he has 12 championship rings as a player and a coach. So he was on that Red Auerbach run with Berg, McHale, Parrish, those guys. Wow. So shouts out to Casey Jones. We lost a lot in 2020. It's been really tough, but here we go. Just like Batman said, the night's always darkest just before the dawn. So we're on to bigger, better things. Coming up in 2021, we get to watch Biden and Trump fist fight in the White House lawn. Conor McGregor's coming back. That's big. And the government tells us about aliens in 178 days. That was included in the COVID relief package.
Right. I want to know what they got on these
channel
aliens.
or on page 5,400 something. They included
it. Tell them.
So the Pentagon is gonna release all the information they know about aliens in 178 days.
Okay.
Gives them 180 days to.
Where can they find that information?
Well, I'm sure they got it. They know. I mean, they're the government. They got it in the Pentagon somewhere on some hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or they're going to wheel an alien out to a podium. I don't know. But we'll see what they tell us. So 2021's looking up.
2021.
You got any, do you do any New Year's resolutions? Anything like that?
I do have things that I would like to start my year off with as far as New Year's resolution. No, I want to go into the year clean. I like to
you went and cleaned out the truck and stuff today, yeah.
I like to clean out my trucks, my rooms, my houses, you know. I like to go into it clean. I like to, even with relationships with women and things of that nature, I like to go into it with it, you know, like
nice.
Clean.
Nice, yeah.
You know, so,
yeah.
And one thing, when you get my age, being healthy is a priority.
Yeah, he's the buffest vegetarian I know. Yeah. I haven't gained weight since 9th grade. I've looked like this the whole time.
No meat.
So, compared to that horrendous list of events and circumstances, 2021's already looking tremendous. So, Berg.
2020, we done.
Yeah, we're out of here. We up out of here. You got anything else to say to these people?
Nah.
Guys, thanks for watching. I'm sorry it was a doomsday episode, but I wanted to rehash over all the stuff that we lived through. We're history now, baby.
We're history,
You know,
baby.
like those people that made it through the Dust Bowl or something like that. We got stories now. We're still here. So
We're history, baby.
keep rocking in the free world, and I will see you next week. God bless you. Happy New Year.